my name is Paige. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a huge haul like I hinted at in my last video or the video before. Yes, I went to Norman Library again and got like a ton of books for $9. I actually didn't have plans to buy as many books as I did, so that's why there's no footage of me at the library. But if you are interested in seeing the actual shopping at Norman Library, you can check out the link above and see all that good stuff. I also want to apologize. So in my last vlog where I was in New York City, I said that I would do a second reading vlog, which I'm still planning on doing, but I didn't get to do it like the day after just because different things happened and there was just no way I could do that. So a reading vlog is coming, it's in the works, but that won't be like now. That won't happen now. Anyway, let's get started with this haul. There are 13 books I need to show you. Actually 15 books if you count, like, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm looking at this stack of books right now and I'm realizing that I have a problem. So I hope you enjoy my problem and I hope you enjoy all these hauls that I've been doing because this is an issue. Anyway, let's get started. So the first book I want to show you is This Fallen Prey by Kelley Armstrong. I actually hauled this because I gave this book to my friend Becky and I kind of forgot that I gave it to her, but I noticed it was missing when I did my bookshelf tour, which you can see if you click the link here. And I saw this at Norman Library in perfect condition and I was like, I might as well just let her keep that copy and I'll just get myself a new copy because this was $1. So yeah, so I got it and now I have the complete series again. For a short synopsis, this is about a girl named Casey who is like a homicide detective in a city and she has like a dark past. So when her best friend suggests that they like go to this mysterious place where like people escape to, she's like, I guess so. And then so they end up in a town called Rockton, and Rockton is like very isolated. It's a very like secret place for people trying to escape things. They go to this place and the story just kind of takes off from there. She becomes like the detective of this like small isolated town and mysteries ensue. The next book I got was Becoming by Michelle Obama. I don't read memoirs typically very often, but I think this will be a good one. It follows Michelle Obama's life from childhood to up to her marriage to President Obama. So it kind of shows her life going from poverty to Princeton to First Lady of the United States. It's funny, it's like cool that the book starts out with like pictures of her and like her childhood. I just think that's kind of cool, like a cool way to start off the book, but yeah, we'll see when I get to this. So next up, and I think I got this for like 10 cents, was The Birth of Venus by Sarah Dunant. So I think I've heard of this book before, probably a lot of people have. It's a historical fiction set in the 15th century in Italy, northern Italy. So it follows a girl who is an artist. She admires art, she likes to make it, etc. And one day her father, I think who's like a wealthy merchant guy, brings home this painter who is like really talented and renowned, and this girl ends up kind of like falling in love with this guy because why wouldn't you? And then her parents arrange a marriage for her, which is really sad because she's kind of forced to pursue this like arranged marriage when she's actually in love with this other guy. I think it'll be fun to read a book set during the Renaissance and just see how Sarah Dunant kind of captures that time in history, and also maybe how she portrays a 15-year-old girl during that time. I'd just be curious to see what it's like. So yeah, it's in very good condition. Like I said, 10 cents, so why not get it? You're about to hear me say like why not get it like a million times because that's just my logic. Every time I see a 10 cents book, I'm like, or 10-cent book, I'm like, well, why not get it? Next up, I found this really nice paperback of A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, which I do not have a physical copy of. I believe I read this in high school, or at least I read excerpts from this in high school. I don't really remember much about it. Like there are some like very vivid visual memories that I have of the book, but like that's about it. So I saw this and I figure I am going to be teaching high school English, so it's probably a good idea for me to read through this again and kind of refresh my memory on it. This is a historical fiction classic novel by Betty Smith, and alright, as I was saying, Yeah, I don't really know how to give a synopsis on this book since I really barely remember what it's about. All I can really tell you is that it's about a girl during the turn of the century who lives in Williamsburg, I think. And her family has this sort of reputation with the neighbors for being a little bit eccentric or like weird. So I assume because of those like peculiarities, why can't I say this word? I assume because of these traits that her family has that she has a hard time growing up and stuff. Like I said, it's for me to eventually read to reacquaint myself with the story and like maybe prepare myself for a future assigning this to students. Okay, so next up, and this is why I said like this is 3 books in one. So this is the entire The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. It's just a really good deal. Like I got this I think for 10 cents and that's all 3 books in this like compact book form. So it has The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer. And this series is a contemporary YA. It's about a girl named Bella who every summer goes to the beach and meets with her like 2 best friends, Conrad and Jeremiah, and they have fun in the sun and on the beach every summer. And she's always like had a thing for Conrad, I think, and one summer it seems like he finally returns those feelings, but what do you know, so does Jeremiah. So this is sort of a love triangle sort of situation, and if you have watched any of my videos before, you probably know that I don't like love triangles, but considering this is all 3 books in one for 10 cents, I figured I'll get it. Maybe if I get in the mood for it, I'll try it. If not, then I'll probably end up giving this to maybe my younger cousin or someone else who would enjoy it just because it's such a great deal. And it was, you know, like it's all 3 books. I don't know. I have it now if anyone is interested in reading this trilogy. Okay, next up I have The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon by Stephen King. I have a copy of this book. It's a paperback version that is completely beat up. Like it is so cracked and terrible and whatever, but I got it at a library sale at my local library like few months ago. I wrapped it up. I talked about the book after I finished it. I really liked it, and I saw this hardback version at Norwin. It's in perfect condition, and I liked the book enough that I thought, well, maybe I'll just get this because I'd like to replace that really terrible paperback that I have of it, and this was only $1, so I'm going to replace that paperback with this and then probably redonate that paperback. So this is a thriller novel. It follows a girl, like a young girl named Trisha, who goes on this hike with her mom and her brother, and she ends up getting lost in the woods. And so the book is mostly like it follows her getting lost in the woods and like trying to get out and survive. And at the same time that she's lost, she feels like she's being followed by like this presence or this monster in the woods. So there's that like mystery of whatever might be following her, or if it's just in her head. It's a very short novel, which I appreciate because a lot of Stephen King novels are huge, and I think I really like this one because it's very, very short. It's like a novella. If you're interested in getting started reading Stephen King, I would recommend this book because, like I said, it's short, it's good, and I think it gives you an insight into how Stephen King's writing is, so that's my recommendation. Okay, next up, and this is a really random book for me to be so excited about, but I'm so excited about this book, I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know, I saw it and immediately I was like, oh my gosh. This is Girl of Nightmares by Kendare Blake. I don't know how many people actually read this series. Like, this was before her 3 Dark Crowns series. This was years before her 3 Dark Crowns series. The first book in this series was called Anna Dressed in Blood. I read Anna Dressed in Blood years ago and I loved it. I have a soft spot for supernatural thrillers. I love ghosts in any form, and I just love that book to pieces. But when I read it, the second book hadn't come out yet, so time passed. I didn't finish the duology, and every time I went to go like look for this second book at Barnes & Noble, that was never in, and I had this anxiety about asking them to order it in for me, so I never finished the duology. So anyway, the moral of the story is that I found this at the library for $1. Again, perfect condition. I saw it and was like, my childhood, and I like immediately picked it up and got it. So it's been so long since I read this book again, but from what I remember, the first book is about a guy, so it has a male perspective, it's YA, and he, like, his family legacy is ghost hunting or like ghost killing. So he travels around the country with his mom, who's a witch, and their cat, who sniffs out ghosts, and his mission is to get rid of spirits, like evil spirits, and he comes across this like haunted house with a ghost named Anna. She's doing bad things, but he realizes that it's the result of a curse that she's been entrapped in, and they end up kind of becoming like friends. I don't know, it's kind of like that star-crossed lovers idea. I would probably have to reread the first book before I read this book, but now that I have it, I can do that eventually, maybe over the summer. I just remember loving the book so much, but then again, that was when I was like 13, so okay, so next up, this is a random one, I feel like. I actually got this because I thought my mom would like it, is The Pigeon Pie Mystery by Julia Stuart. Never heard of this book before, but the cover was really interesting to me, and obviously The Pigeon Pie Mystery, it sounds sort of British inspired, which it is. So this is a historical mystery, Brit lit humor novel. Gave me really big MC Beaton vibes, although I don't know for sure whether that's a true opinion or not. So this is about an Indian princess nicknamed Mink, who ends up sort of cast out, left penniless because her father dies, and Queen Victoria grants her a home in Hampton Court. So the only problem with this is that Hampton Court Palace is supposed to be super haunted, but Mink is like, hey, I don't have anywhere else to go, so let's go there and check it out. So she and her lady's maid Pookie go there and settle in, and things start to go wrong when a general mayor comes to stay with them and ends up dying after eating a pigeon pie prepared by Pookie. So Pookie ends up the main suspect in this murder mystery, and Mink has to find a way to clear her name because they are really good friends, and she, I assume, knows that she didn't kill this guy. I think this is a very light-hearted, cozy sort of mystery. Like I said, very dime store, very MC Beaton-esque. So I'm not sure if my mom will read it, but I figure that she would like it considering she does like that MC Beaton mystery vibe stuff, and so do I. So maybe over the summer when it feels like I could go for one of these sort of mysteries, I'll pick it up. But now I have it. It is very cute. So this book is called The Physic Book of Deliverance, Dane. What really caught my eye about this book is the fact that it looks brand new. Like, all of these books are really in good condition, but this one specifically looks like no one ever touched it. So I looked at it and I read the synopsis and was intrigued. So this is a historical fiction fantasy, and what I understand is that it switches between contemporary times and historical fiction. So it follows a Harvard graduate who ends up sort of investigating the Salem witch trials, and she gets drawn into this whole conspiracy and past because she ends up being involved in like this estate sale, I think, and she finds this like magical key and this magical book, and like she ends up getting drawn into the mystery of Deliverance Dane, who I believe was a witch or a woman from that time period, and so she's sent on this whole journey to uncover the truth and history of this person. It's just like a really interesting looking book. Like the back, yeah, I think this is supposed to be Salem on the back, Salem, Massachusetts. So I was just really interested in the way it looks. It's a really, really nice cover. On the inside there's like, I think, a letter. So it's very like aesthetic, I hate to call it that, but it's very aesthetic and like intriguing, and you just like, when you pick it up, you're like, man, I want to read this. But hopefully it is as good as it looks, because it looks really freaking cool. By the way, this is by Katherine Howe. I don't think I mentioned that. Sorry. Okay, next up, and this is gonna seem ridiculous because I literally just hauled a paperback version of this book, but I got The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd again. because I got the paperback version when I went to the antique store, and you can click the link here to see that vlog. I did some book shopping there, and I found a paperback version of this book. I bought it. It wasn't expensive at all. But then I found this hardback version at Norwin, and it's in really, really good condition, and I was like, you know, so I got it, and to replace the paperback version and like give that to someone else or donate it, I don't know, I'm sorry, I bought that at the antique store. I liked it, of course. I felt like it wasn't in bad enough condition not to buy it, but then I saw this hardback version like a few days later, and I was like, how can I not get this? It's only $1, so don't judge me. Yeah, I'm not gonna do a synopsis on this book because I just did it for that other vlog, so if you're interested in seeing those books that I got from the antique store, you can see that video. But yeah, I have 2 copies of this now. Okay, moving right along. I got the short Oxford History of English Literature. This is by Andrew Sanders. I've never heard really about this specific book. I just saw it, and I thought it might be kind of nice to have. Like, so it has Old English literature, medieval literature, Renaissance literature, Restoration, 18th century, Romantic, High Victorian, Late Victorian, and Edwardian, Modernism, and post-war, postmodern lit. So, I don't know, it just seems like a really nice, like, I don't know, has a lot of stuff in it. It might be nice to just like kind of peruse through here sometimes and just see like, oh, today I feel like reading something from the 18th century, and I like pick it up and just read a little bit from it. Next up, we have The Shoemaker's Wife by Adriana Trigiani. Oh, this was reviewed by Katherine Stockett, who does another book that I'll put here. I can't remember what it is. Oh, there's a note inside. There's a lot of notes inside. So there's this note. It says, Charlie, thank you. Oh, I think you'll like this story too. We all did. Patty and Robin. Pass it around. That's a note that was inside the cover. There's also this note attached to the cover. It says, this is great. I had a hard time putting it down. Everyone should read this. Judy. This was in 2012. So it looks like these notes are from 2012. I don't know if you're interested in I don't know if you're interested in this sort of stuff, but I think it's kind of fun to find hidden notes and things in books that I buy, like used books. There's also a newspaper clipping about the book, also attached to the cover, which is interesting. If any of you are watching who wrote these notes, hi, thank you for giving me your reviews. I'm excited to read it too. Okay, so this is a historical fiction. It is set in the Italian Alps in the 20th century. It sounds sort of like a star-crossed lovers romantic historical fiction, and I say that because in the synopsis it talks about these 2 teenagers who grow up in Italy together, and then one day Ciro, his name is Ciro, he ends up uncovering like a scandal that the local priest is in on, and they banish him to America. So he goes and makes a life for himself in America, and then what do you know, the other person, the other teenager, Enza, ends up also in America. So they're kind of like, unbeknownst to each other, they are both in America making their lives there, and I'm assuming they eventually meet up again and kind of get reacquainted. Very, very pretty cover. It feels very nice and smooth and glossy. Last but not least, we have The Summer Country by Lauren Willig. Again, very pretty book. Textured pages, textured cover. It's just a little bit rough. Good condition. There's a little bit of like wear and tear on the edge here. Doesn't really bother me. But yeah, apart from that, it's in great condition. It actually kind of fits like the aesthetic of the book, since it is sort of supposed to look a little bit older. That little wearing on the corner doesn't bother me at all. So this is a historical fiction described as a dramatic Victorian tale of love and adventure. So it starts off in the 50s. It follows a girl who is from this wealthy family, but she has always sort of been on the the more poor end of the family. And one day she inherits this like plot of land in Barbados. It's like a sugar plantation in Barbados, and when she goes to see it in person, she finds it completely destroyed, like in ruin. And so she has to like figure out why she was given this property and why it was destroyed. And I think there's like a whole mystery surrounding the neighbors, the fellow like plantation owners. Yeah, and it kind of sounds like that, like mystery, historical fiction, a little bit romantic. I'm not sure where the romance comes into play since it's not really hinted at in the synopsis, but it is categorized as a romance. So I'm interested to see why that is the case. If any of you have read any of these books that I've showed you that I have not read, which is most of them, then let me know your thoughts. I would like to line up a TBR for myself over the summer, especially because I want to get my reading done over the summer. I want to read as much as I possibly can because I'm not doing so well right now. Like during the school year, I've not been fulfilling my reading goals very well. I got to finish one book this past month, which was February, and that was Nosferatu by Joe Hill. I give it 5 stars on Goodreads. I absolutely loved it to pieces. The audiobook was a gorgeous masterpiece, and the narrator is just so dramatic and awesome. I don't know if I'll do like a wrap-up of that, or maybe this is my wrap-up because I'm not going to do a wrap-up for one book. So yeah, just so you know, I really liked it, and now I'm starting The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, and I'm also reading Daisy Jones and the Six on audiobook, and I still have to finish my reread of To Kill a Mockingbird. Anyway, I would like to know what your reading goals are, how you're meeting them, what are you reading right now. Please give me some inspiration. That's really all I have for you today. Those 13 books are all I have for you today. So I hope you enjoyed this haul, and yeah, I have a lot of exciting things coming up. I've been tagged in 2 separate videos, one by my friend Marissa Curtis, who runs an awesome booktube channel, and one by Dini, who is over at Dini Books and Gaming. I have 2 tags I need to get done for both of them. I am so excited to do them, but I just like haven't had the time to record them. Yeah, anyway, hope you have a great week. I will see you again soon. Bye!